steam engine update. So, put the flywheel back on to take some measurements, and I'm not having much luck with the bearing on this. Basically, if you haven't followed any of the other videos, which is fine, here's my steam engine, and it's weird for a reason. I want it to be overly complicated like this inside of another, or in a big flywheel, and basically it makes it really side heavy. So it's really heavy, being in the range of 50 pounds on this side. And on the engine side, the engine's mounting on brackets like these. I didn't finish cutting this one out. My angle grinder broke. But, see, there's one of the mounts I made, because this was a lawnmower engine originally. And I don't have the camshaft done either, so don't think it's done yet. It's sitting right there. But, I just wanted to get it mounted, because if I got it mounted, then it would be sitting here. So, anyway, I gotta make basically some sort of little bracket that, and I'm gonna have to get a bigger bolt, I've decided, that sits about here, and it just rides on this bolt, and it takes all the weight and distributes it to a 2x4 that would sit somewhere about here. Now here is my table. This is what I came up with to mount it. This is the this was an old fish tank aquarium stand, so it was meant to hold quite a bit of weight. It's roughly, it's about, I think it's 7 or 8 pounds a gallon. So this held up to a 15 gallon. So 15 times 8 is whatever, I don't know. I don't have a calculator on me, and I can't do multiplication in my head. Like, not that high up anyhow. So it holds, I'm 100, well, I'm like a $1.65, and it holds me up. I've jumped on it and whatnot, and it didn't break. So that steam engine max weighs altogether 70 pounds. So it can easily hold this up. So I found these old 2x4s, and they were out in the yard, and I was scared to death they were going to be rotten. They're solid as a rock, and I sanded them down because it had mud on it, so I sanded them down. Now, didn't have to be beautiful, and I'll either do one of two things. I'm going to paint it white, or I have some wood stain, some really old wood stain that's starting to separate, and I'll just stain it. However, whatever I do though, I built this, and what basically happens is right here I'm going to cut this out, this hole. My drill battery died. My air drill's too loud to fire up past 10 o'clock. It's too loud to fire up past 7 o'clock, but it's like 10 now. So I got to drill this out, and that's just going to be a place for all my lines to come, because I think that it just looks great if I have like a little boiler. It might not power it long, but if I could have like a little boiler down here that maybe just sticks out long ways this way, and then maybe have the firebox somehow, I don't know, do something. But I really want to use this, and then I can have my smokestack coming out through these 2x4s and up. Be a nice little compact unit to completely counter, as ironic as it is, the super uncompact flywheel. Another discovery I made, well, no, let me finish this. So, I also put these things on. Now, you're like, what the heck is this? Well, I'm going to have this 2x4 in the front, and then brace it from the bottom and the sides to make a triangle. But, it'll be sitting right about there. I don't have a piece of wood handy. Well, I do have a piece of metal. Hold it. So it'll sit, roughly it's going to sit, and it's going to be a little bit taller than this by about 3 inches, but it's going to sit like that, and then it's going to be mounted to the bottom, by a 2x4 just on the bottom and screwed in. And then I'm going to have a piece of wood going from here to there, and then have my flywheel. And the reason for these cuts, the flywheel, the engine can sit pretty far in. It sits with only about this much hanging off, so it sits right here. And then my flywheel the edges of it are about here. So this is in part of the flywheel. So you know, that's what these cuts are for, just so I can push the engine back farther. But like I said, the majority of the weight is actually going to be put on this 2x4 up here that will be mounted and have its own separate little wheel to roll around on. Actually, it might not have a wheel. I have a big rubber stopper around here somewhere that would make something like this, but way bigger. That would make a good foot at the bottom of a 2x4, but way bigger than that. But anyhow, so that's going to take the majority weight, but I still thought, just for, you know, my peace of mind, how cool would it be to have some sort of like tie system where you could stake it in the ground. So I found some stakes. I had a pack of 4 I got it from when my neighbor was moving. I came up with this, and these are some old wire clips that Fast Suzuki gave me. Check out his channel. Gave me a big box of them in there. That's not coming out. I pulled on it as hard as I could. And basically, it's tied off here too. I can go a good 5-ish, 4, well, with straight out it's like 4-ish feet. Down it's only about 4. But I can stake it to the ground and have it strung nice and tight, and it will pull it over. So that will also help a little bit. I have 2 of them. And I'm going to put some sort of little, like, probably Velcro thing just so it sits in there nicer. But the strings, they just go up on my wire mounts. And it looks clean this way. I'm not coiling up any rope. But this one's a little bit longer. My error in not tying. But so I have that too. Oh wow, my camera. Next thing is the wheels. I don't think I've talked about the wheels yet. So I kind of wanted it to be like a cart. A lot of old Maytag engines, people put carts on them. So I figured, I really like these carts they have at our school that the janitors use. It's basically almost like this. 2 wheels in the back, stoppers at the front to keep it from moving when you have it down. So although it's a little bit crooked, which I'll probably end up putting some rubber stoppers right there, I have 2 wheels now. And I also have it where the back, this front is a little bit higher than the back, which also will help with my tipping problem. So those are just bolted on with some wood screws. Once again, I sat and jumped up and down on it, and they're not coming out. They're really long. They're like, I would say, at least 4 to 5 inches long. They go about halfway almost. So anyway, but the wheels do work. And yeah, so I would like to, if I could, get a bolt tomorrow. And maybe a bolt and a bearing. But and mount it, because if I can get it mounted, then it will be much easier to push in and out. But the only problem is this does not fit in my workshop downstairs anymore to store it. So it's probably going to have to, I mean, it fits. It's just because of how big and heavy it is, I can't get it in there without breaking something. So it's going to have to, probably going to have to live outside under a tarp, under a deck. But the deck is, I'll put down some wood and I'll try to make it nice. But I can't get this, it can't stay in here. It's not up to me. And it can't go down in the shop because I could never get it. If I got it in there, I'd never be able to get it out. It's way harder to get things out than it is to put them in. So, last thing of this video. I discovered something, or more or less my dad discovered something. When he was helping me hold it up to measure, he spun it and realized something. There was a reason that this old rim was back in the woods. We believe that the car must have crashed because there was an old truck parts back there too. Lots of old truck parts. The truck is, what was left of the truck parts looked like it had been a collision. So it's starting to make sense that that was in a collision because it is slightly squished. It's off true. So if I get this thing up to high speeds, it's going to want to go woo, 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 woo. The only way I can counter that, I think, is if I use something like this that has a bearing in it that can spin this way, and it can go up and down. And also I thought, and tell me what you think, I have 10 seconds, if I